Welcome back to Weekly Security Nerd Out. We have episode 3 today where we're going to talk about Russian hacktivists that attacked US airports using a technique called DDoS. So, a little bit of background here. We had a hacktivist group goes by the name of Killnet. They're a pro-Russian hacktivist group, meaning that they're doing attacks in support of Russia and their interests. And what happened was last week they started talking about doing a DDoS attack, which we'll describe in a minute here, where they sent out 49 domains that were associated with US airports, and it's all around the country. And not only were they going to be conducting the attacks, but they were also talking and trying to get all of their supporters to take part in this attack. Now, it's important to understand that this attack only went after the external facing websites for these airports. So, all said, there wasn't really any impact to the airport themselves. No flights were impacted. There no impact to the airport operations, but really the impact was to the marketing website. So, if somebody wanted to go and look at where the terminal maps were, anything like that, they potentially wouldn't have been able to access those websites. And that's the whole point of a DDoS attack. It is to essentially make a target website go offline so that legitimate people, legitimate users aren't able to access that site anymore. Now, a little bit of background on Killnet. They've been pretty active throughout this whole year, not only targeting US entities, but really countries all around the world. Again, all aligned to Russian interests. So, let's talk a little bit about what a DDoS attack is. So, a DDoS stands for distributed denial of service. Now, essentially, what happens is that you have a large number of systems around the world that are directing network traffic to a specific target location, aka their victim. Now, what happens here is because there's a flood of traffic coming into that system can't process the data or those requests fast enough. So essentially, these legitimate requests coming in just get lost and they're not able to be processed. So from the outside in, it looks as though these websites are offline, but it's really because they just can't handle the amount of traffic that's coming into them. Now, the attack itself is not really all that sophisticated. The hard part is just getting enough systems to participate in the attack. So when you're looking at who uses it, it's really this fan favorite of hacktivist groups like Killnet, but also script kiddies. You think back, going back 10 years ago, Anonymous was really one of the main players in this space, and they still use it today. So overall, the impact is there, right? The systems are going offline, but there's no real long term destruction. And so that's why it becomes more of a nuisance. And that's why it's a favorite of these hacktivists and script kiddies. Easy to do, annoying. And so you really get kind of the notoriety as a result of that. We do see some criminal organizations that are using these techniques. So, a good example of this is the Lockbit ransomware group. A little bit ago, they came in and said they were going to start doing triple extortion, meaning they were going to encrypt your systems, they're going to steal data, and they're also going to conduct a DDoS attack against you in order to try to twist your arm into paying the ransom. So, again, more of a nuisance. It's not really going to have all that much impact except for taking systems offline. This is more of an issue for larger organizations. So, if you're using like an e-commerce site as your primary way of running your business, if that goes down, could be a bad day for you. And so that's why it's more important to have the mitigation techniques in place ahead of time so you're not scrambling to set them up later on. And so the mitigation technique for this is pretty straightforward. You essentially filter out the bad traffic, and that's it. So if we look at this a little bit more, we'll just do a quick case study here. We got Dave. Dave wants to go to his favorite website. But we also have a hacker who wants to get in Dave's way and just cause a little bit of noise here. So, as I mentioned before, one of the ways to do this is just to get a lot of systems that can send traffic to that website to essentially just flood that and make it so that it looks like it's offline. So, one of the ways hackers do this is they take over or use a botnet. Now, you can create your own botnet, which is a lot of work, or you can just rent these botnets. There are DDoS as a service businesses out there. And so attackers can just rent this botnet for a little bit to take these websites offline. Now, the important thing here is that, again, these are all infected systems all over the world. It could be your laptops. A lot of things now are IoT devices, Internet of Things. So anything that's connected to the internet that can be infected, this can end up being part of this botnet. Now, the important thing to remember here is that with these botnets, those botnets, the infected systems or devices, are going to connect back into a command and control server and just wait for commands. So for the attacker, they can connect into that command and control server and issue a command saying, hey, we want to conduct a DDoS attack against Dave's favorite website. And so suddenly they're going to start sending all of their traffic over to that website. And so it basically becomes a dumpster fire there where that website is not ready to take on that amount of traffic. And so when Dave goes to try to connect to it, he's just getting this loading screen because his requests are just getting lost in that flood of data and he's not able to actually get any data back because that website is just inundated with information, can't do what it's meant to do. Now, again, the mitigation for this is just figure out where that bad traffic is coming from because it's going to look very similar with all of these thousands and thousands of systems. And so if you can filter out that traffic, then you can allow Dave's traffic to come through. And so there are companies out there that do this. They just filter out this malicious traffic for you. And it's just that screening. It's a lot like just sifting out the bad traffic and saying, hey, we see this traffic signature, meaning, we see all of the same types of requests coming from all these different locations. We're going to stop allowing those to get through to the website, and we're just going to let the good traffic go through. And so Dave is able to go and see the traffic or the website that he wants to see here. So that's it. It's not super complicated, but it is one of those things that you do want to have set up ahead of time. You don't want to be doing this during a crisis to try to filter out that bad traffic. And so, especially if you're a business or a company that requires to have a significant uptime, get that in place ahead of time. You'll save yourself the hassle later on. All right, that's it for today. Like, comment, and subscribe for this. We're going to be back next week with another topic. So we'll see you there.